PlayStation believes in great games.
Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 30 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of PSVR2, the show for those who want to share in our newfound enthusiasm for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host Laurie, but for anyone that purposefully ignores me every week, I just want to try telling you once again that we are part of the Cross Players. So, if you find yourself enjoying what you hear, check out thecrossplayers.com for links to all of our content and our Discord. Now, it is an honour to be joined by two of the most mysterious influencers in the metaverse. It's Ben and Alex. Hello there, gents.
Ooh. Mysterious this week. That's a new one, is it?
You are mysterious.
You're looking lovely tonight, might I just say?
No, thanks. Okay. Yeah?
Ha! Throwing you off. Try insulting me now, bitch.
It's very, I mean, that is something a mysterious person would say.
Exactly.
Do you like, I mixed up the intro a bit there, just because we're episode 30 now?
Yeah.
What's...
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah,
little,
we can't describe ourselves as newcomers.
No, not anymore.
Yeah. Our newcomers' journey into the world of PSVR2. We're just not newcomers. 30 episodes we've been doing this. We've been playing nearly every game that's come out for PSVR2, for Christ's sake.
It's true.
If there's one thing we are not, it's newcomers. We are mildly experienced now in the world of VR.
We are
Definitely
newfound
not expert.
enthusiasts. No, definitely not. One day.
Yeah. But you've both been well.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
I feel it's important to note that Alex is here with a jumper, jeans, and a blanket on. That's how cold it is in Scotland tonight, apparently.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
cold.
Ben in London is in shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah, well, definitely a t-shirt.
Who knows about the shorts? Yeah.
Boxer shorts, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Mysterious.
We even had the fire on last night.
You had
You
the
got a fire
on.
on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
That is mad. As in, what sort of fire? Is it like a log fire? Or
Log
just
burner, yeah.
Log burner, and you call me posh. Gosh. Yeah,
I think
burner.
for our American listeners as well, they probably think, oh, well, Scotland must be so far away from England to have such a different climate. But it's not far at all. How many
Few hundred
miles
miles.
is it? A few hundred miles. Ridiculous.
500
Not
miles.
far.
I'm not just
500
saying
more.
Americans don't understand geography either, by the way. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
if you
other
think of like
countries
what's the
that-
difference from Ben to Alex, it's kind of like Winterfall to King's Landing, maybe. Would you say?
Yeah, that's helpful.
See?
Yeah,
Come on. Well, for anyone that's watched Game of Thrones, we get that reference.
Well, I'm north
Yes.
of the wall, so
Yeah, well,
That's true.
maybe even further. You're past the wall, aren't you? Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Snarks and Grumpkins.
I'm not
You don't
grumpy
like
this
Game
week.
of Thrones, Ben?
I love it. I just said Snarks and Grumpkins. That's a deep cut from Game of Thrones. Alex doesn't like it, though.
I do.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking of bread.
Easily confused.
Yeah.
Good. Well, tonight, what are we going to be talking about? Well, there's been a state of play this week. That was exciting, wasn't it? And there was they even found time for a teeny bit of VR stuff we can talk about. And there's been some other news as well. And we've been playing quite a few things. I know what Ben's been playing. Alex, you're mysterious. I don't really know what you've been playing. I understand it's been quite a lot though, so you can tell everyone, along with myself, what you've been playing. And then we've got a little topic inspired by the state of play, as we thought we might get a reveal of what they're cooking up in the old PlayStation studios for PSVR2, but they did not. We're still in suspense. So them not telling us, we thought we'd have a go ourselves at trying to work it out. Using the powers of deduction, we will try and deduce what is going on behind those closed doors. And we'll see one day if we're right or not. But yeah, sound good?
It does.
Sounds bloody marvellous.
Well, that's good, because I don't think we've got anything else prepared, so good. Right, well, let's talk what they did reveal in the state of play, rather than what they didn't reveal. First thing they did for PSVR2 was Ghostbusters, Rise of the Ghost Lord, which is another stupid subtitle. And that's been dated now for October the 26th.
Nice little Halloween game.
Yeah,
date,
that's well timing, isn't it? Well timed. Whoever thought that one up at Endreams. Endreams, obviously, developers of our favourite game of this podcast's Synapse. So, obviously, developer with quite some pedigree when it comes to developing VR. They know what they're doing. And then they've also got the Ghostbusters license as well, which suggests we could be looking forward to some good things here. Do you think?
It looks promising.
It was a nice trailer, wasn't it? It was a nice trailer.
Yeah, it looked high quality. I think sometimes the quality of VR games that we've seen so far can tend to veer towards the more Quest 2 end, but this looks pretty premium as befits an IP of this standing. So yeah. Awesome.
Well, they did actually put out a blog post as well to go with it, and they were talking about some of the PSVR2 enhancements, and there are things that you can guess would be on there. I think everyone knows eye tracking, yep. Head haptics, yep. Enhanced lighting, yep. Adaptive triggers, but it does still seem like they are putting the effort in for this version of the game and adding all that stuff in as well, which you'd hope to see all that stuff now there. But they've said that in the multiplayer mode, when you're looking at your companions, each other, I mean, we could all be playing it, and it uses the eye tracking so we can see where each other are looking, which is great, because then hopefully you're not going to be looking at a sort of Starfield-esque type mannequin that just kind of stares blankly into space, but we'll actually be able to see what we each are looking at. So that could be interesting there. They said it's been transformative in their blog, transformative in the co-op game when it comes to communication, because you can see where your teammates are looking, as well as sharing a wink or two. Fancy that, guys? You have a little winky. I look forward to sharing a wink, or even two. I don't know, maybe three with the two of you. Maybe one of the films as well.
Yeah, cool. I think, the multiplayer. If this does feel like you've got a proton pack strapped to your back and you're there blasting ghosts together in multiplayer, I think this could be one of those that we just end up having kind of like a walkabout, like it's just silly fun.
Yeah.
Can't imagine there's a great deal of depth in the story, but that's kind of don't want that in VR, do you? You want to get in and get out, and
especially like
have a laugh.
VR. It's just you just want to catch ghosts, really, don't you? And I feel like for us, and probably if you need to have that kind of nostalgia for the Ghostbusters, because I think when I hear just like the sounds, the sound effects and stuff, or their siren going on top of their car and stuff, it's like things like that would just be like, oh yes, this is awesome. And when you see the effects of their proton guns doing the thing and stuff.
I hope it's really tactile. I hope that when you're actually trying to hook a ghost in, you can really feel the rumble.
Oh yeah, there'll be some good haptics.
Throw out a trap like that, and then someone else is pulling it down into.
I want to feel the trigger, the adaptive trigger fighting back when you've got to do it. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, and don't cross the streams. If you cross the streams, you probably feel that extra little bit of haptic in the controllers as well.
And it looks like they have plans for it, because they're also kind of given a little bit of a roadmap in terms of how they see the game going. I can't remember the details of the roadmap, but I think they've got a bit of a kind of long-term plan for it. So hopefully it does land and it does well. Maybe this will be the game that finally gets Greg Miller to play his PSVR2, because I mean, if Ghostbusters isn't going to do it, then what?
You'd think so.
Yeah,
is he in this game? Because he was in a Ghostbusters game recently, wasn't he? He was like one of the voice actors or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
This,
we'll invite him on next week. He can tell us. And if you pre-order it, you can get there's like a full edition of the game that has upcoming DLC, bonus content, and the DLC is additional playable characters, new skins, and more. It says so. Yeah, it seems like there's a bit of a roadmap for the game. I don't actually know. Is this like story based? Is it like? Does it go on forever? What is it?
I think there is a bit of a story base to it, because it is single player and multiplayer, so there is a single player element to it as well. So I think there must be a bit of a story there, and then a bit of a more kind of co-op PvP experience. So.
Well, yeah, definitely one to look out for and to keep a close eye on, and other things like that. But yeah, we'll be playing that one in a few weeks' time. And the other big game that they showed, which is quite cool, is the Resident Evil 4 VR mode. I had a really good trailer for that and dated that for this winter. So it is coming, well, not necessarily this year, because this winter, what could that be? Anything coming up to February sort of time, couldn't it? But hopefully it'll be.
Alex has started already with the winter. So
from now on, if you're in Scotland.
Winter is coming.
There you go, see? Nice.
Yeah.
Well done there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it looked really good, didn't it? And Alex, you've still not played the main game, have you? And I presume, Ben, you is one of your contenders for the game of the year, right? Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So we probably haven't. Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it much on this pod, but obviously you've talked about it a lot. You don't ever shut up about it on Crosscast.
I mentioned it once or twice, yeah.
So yeah, planning to replay it in VR?
I don't know if I'll play it all the way through again.
You're a busy man, aren't you, Ben?
I'm a busy man. I've got things to do. But I'll certainly dip into it and play through, like, you know, the first section. And if it grabs me, pulls me all the way back in, then I'll stick with it. But yeah, obviously we've seen a lot of it anyway. I think they seem to be continually teasing this at every opportunity. But this trailer was the best one we've seen so far. It looked real, and there's some bits, you know, it showed some bits from quite far into the game as well, and it all looks really good. So very exciting. I hope you both try it. Laurie, any plans?
No.
I'm going to play it. I'm 100%.
No plans to.
I will 100% play this game in VR. I promise.
It's Laurie. It is one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And in the same way that GT7 was made brilliant by VR, this could be the next game. And if PSVR2 can do that and have that every year, have like one huge mega AAA exclusive that then gets turned into full VR experience. So it's not that I've got anything against this kind of smaller, more interesting kind of random stuff, the more indie stuff, but to have this big AAA stuff that's given the VR treatment is pretty special. And you think if they can get a catalogue of 2 or 3 or 4 of those, grow that set of experiences, that I think more mainstream audiences will pay more attention to. It's only going to be a good thing for the headset. But yeah, no, I am interested for it. It just looks very stressful. I didn't like the demo of Resident Evil 4. I played the regular demo, and it's probably just something I need to just spend more time with and get to grips with, and just get my head around it.
I didn't like the demo either, if it's any consolation. It almost put me off getting it entirely.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, imagine if that had done. You'd be a different person to the man you are today.
I would be a big scaredy cat in the corner. But yeah, looking forward to it, and also the non-VR content, the updates for that as well. The separate ways, DLC.
I suppose that is technically VR stuff as well. Presume that bit will be playable as well in VR. Maybe
you'd hope so.
Don't know, actually. So. I wouldn't assume that it is, but
I'm going to assume it is. So.
Features Ada Wong. Ada Wong is Bay, I believe they say.
You mean Andrew?
Yeah, sure. Sounds like something he'd say.
I don't know who that is though. So, but he was very excited during the state of play. I think on our WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group, which you too can join by signing up to our Patreon. More on that later. So
and also
Resi 4. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, as you can see, there seems to be a little bit of confusion around the winter thing, because a lot of people have reported it as winter 23, and I'm like, definitely didn't say 23, it said winter. It said this winter. So that could be 24, and I think it will be into 24. I'd be surprised if it's this side of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it will be within the next, 4 or 5 months. I think you probably... When does spring start for you, Alex, in Scotland? You know, you probably... Who knows?
Never.
No.
We get 1 week of summer, and the rest of the time it's winter.
I think probably by February we can expect it to be out.
Yeah.
I think if it's still not out by February, they've been slightly taking liberties with their release window terminology.
And there's also they've confirmed they're doing a Tokyo Game Show stream on the 21st of September. So hopefully for Capcom, or not necessarily an RE4. So maybe we'll get a date there. You never know, because I feel like they want to date it. Maybe they just didn't want to do it at state of play.
I feel like they're stringing that out as much as possible, aren't they? Getting as many marketing beats under there.
I mean, hopefully they'll have some hands-on previews then next week after people play it at TGS.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
We shall see.
Before we move on from Resident Evil 4, the other game that you mentioned there, Rise of the Ghost Lord, reminded me, End Dreams, Jimmy Bowers, who we had on episode 19, I believe.
Friend of the show.
He's moved on from End Dreams. So I think we should congratulate him on his new role at Sumo Digital.
Onwards and upwards.
And I was playing Sackboy today, and I thought, Jimmy works for them. Jimmy!
Yeah, onwards and upwards. I mean, I say onwards and upwards. I should assume it was a decent
commiserations / congratulations.
Yeah.
Whichever applies. No, that's very cool. It's well done, Jimmy.
It's always good to see that. So, yeah.
Congrats, Jimmy.
He'll be replaced by someone half as cool as him, at least.
Impossible.
Good. Next up, we had a trailer the day before the State of Play. Because Sony, when they have a big State of Play, they don't like to just reveal games in that, because that would make far too much sense. They reveal games the day before and the day after, and they just put them out in tweets on their blogs and stuff, because it would make far too much sense to include them all in a State of Play, where they might have loads of people watching all at the same time that might see as many people as possible get a chance to see it. No, we don't want to do that. The day before, they revealed a game called Mannequin, which they did a sort of teaser theatrical trailer. And that's also set for next year, and that's kind of a multiplayer cat and mouse type thing where there's some aliens or ghosts. It kind of looked like something out of Doctor Who, to be honest, where there was some people, some aliens or something that was causing all these towns and places to everyone just freezes on the spot, and then you're a team of people that have gone in to try and investigate what the hell is going on to these people, and then hidden amongst all the frozen people are the aliens that are responsible for it, and you need to try and scan things and try and find them before they sneak up on you and freeze you too. So yeah, that sounds like a fun little multiplayer experience, though. Sort of multiplayer experience that we would actually play and have fun with, rather than just these kind of shooters that we're terrible at.
It looked really cool. Like the trailer and the whole concept of it, the trailer of it, how they presented it was incredibly cool. I think this is one of the...
Yeah, it was a very good trailer.
Yeah. Because Fast Travel Games had been teasing it for a few days before it landed, and like, oh, is this the one we're talking about? Like, yeah, it must be, because it is. Yeah, incredibly cool. Well done trailer. Certainly piqued the interest in this one.
Yeah, and obviously Fast Travel Games, they're also making Vampire the Masquerade, and they also did Cities VR, so they're quite got a decent pedigree to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Broken Edge as well. There's quite a few. They've got quite a few PSVR2 games now. So yeah, one to look forward to. And then the day after the State of Play, there was also a new game revealed called Soul Covenant, which is described as a tactical action game, which also had a kind of reveal trailer set for the first half of 2024. And it kind of looks like there's a website with loads of information about it. The premise of it just seems absolutely kind of completely batshit crazy. I love it. Very Japanese. It's by the team that did Soul Sacrifice. I don't know if either of you played that before. PS Vita game.
Nope.
Nope. You're not Vita boys.
I am. I just don't remember. It doesn't. I don't remember that at all.
No. But yeah, it seems kind of a bit like a kind of roguelike-y type thing. But yeah, it's hard one to describe. Watch the trailer.
The tactical part of it interested me. It's like trying to, because normally when I hear tactics, I think like turn-based kind of stuff, and obviously it's not that because it's action. So I'm just interested to see how that works.
Tactical espionage action. I think Metal Gear Solid. That was its That was its strapline. So I think it's the tactical as in hiding behind stuff and using the environment to your advantage and stuff.
Yeah, it looks good.
Great
game again.
It does look very good. It looks very polished. It's going to be Quest 2 PC as well. But yeah, it looks very polished, big budget. It looks quite impressive. Like it's got quite a bit of pedigree going into it. So you definitely want to keep an eye on that one. So yeah, so there's plenty of new games there coming up. But one game that's not coming up as soon as we thought it was going to be is Pixel Rip, which has been delayed from the 12th of September. You could have been playing it right now instead of listening to this. That's been delayed to the 3rd of October, though, so you're going to have to wait a few more weeks. And that's Pixel Rip 1995. Is that right, Alex?
That is indeed.
Yeah, so anyone that has played 78, is that right? Pixel Rip 1978, enjoyed that one, or wants a bit more Pixel Rip, you're going to have to wait a couple more weeks longer. But Alex, you're going to be jumping into that one, do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed Pixel Rip 1978 enough to jump into 95, because 95 and 89, I think, is the other one. I think 89 seems to get the highest reputation, and then 95 and 78 kind of falls at the bottom of the three. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to giving 95 a go. I think it's kind of a better era for me to try and enjoy.
Yeah, if you're jumping into 90s style games, that sounds more appealing than 70s style games. No offense to the 70s, but that's how I feel. You're part of the 70s, surely not. Another game which has been delayed, who knows how long for though, is Gazlers. It's been delayed for a few days. It should have been out already. I think it is out elsewhere already, but it's been delayed for a few days, few weeks on PSVR2. And Alex, you have been doing some investigation work on behalf of it. You are our new investigative reporter. You found out some exclusive news.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it could be a couple of days, could be a couple of weeks. They don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but as far as I'm aware, it's on the way. And
as in the authorities.
So the developer. I've been speaking to the developer, sorry. And they'll get it as soon as they can. I think they're making progress, and it should be with us soon. But it just seemed to have a last minute thing between them and Sony. I don't know what the actual issue was, but it released everywhere else, and then it just couldn't quite come out in PSVR2, but it should be fairly imminent. It might even be out by the time this podcast comes out. I'm not sure.
Gosh.
Shouldn't be far.
Okay, well, that's exciting either way. Next up, you are doing very good work, Alex. You spotted a port for Colossal Cave, VR port now live. Colossal Cave, is that a game you are at all familiar with?
No, I think it's a very old game.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very bad game, or a very bad port from the reception of the tweets that I sent out to how some people have responded to this. It's not necessarily one you might want to go and look at. But it might be. It might tickle your fancy, but it certainly, from our Twitter responses, many people weren't very didn't have many nice things to say about this port, because I think it's already been out in either Quest or PC VR, so this is it coming to PS.
And that's unusual as well, because Twitter is usually just full of people saying nice things about stuff, so it's really strange.
Well, to be fair, in the VR space it tends to be. It's like the other version of the VR space is quite nice.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I was going to say something rude then, but I won't. Okay, moving on. Arashi, that's another game that's been dated. Arashi Castles of Sin has been dated for 16th of November, which is one that's filling out your release schedule there, Alex.
Yeah.
That looks good, doesn't it? That's got quite a good reviews and stuff. It's been PSVR game originally, and this port. I think I saw some hands-on preview of it from someone, maybe Upload VR, and saying they're disappointed that although it's a port, they've kind of not taken advantage of some of the things that PSVR2 has going for it, like the kind of better tracking on the controllers and stuff, and things like that. So it might be a frustrating port if they don't put those little finishing touches in it just to make it PSVR2 getting the best out of it. So we'll see on that one, but it definitely looks promising anyway, just the base game anyway.
Still has time to make those tweaks, I guess.
Oh yeah, loads of time. It's easy, isn't it? Just changing stuff like that.
That's it. You just add it on. It's fine.
Yeah, just
click a button.
Little toggle. Right, what have we been playing? Ben, you can go first. You've been sat there smirking at me.
Sure. What have I been playing? Playing a few bits and bobs, sort of dipping in and out. I think probably the hottest topic, because it releases today, the day that this podcast releases, and that is Ruinsmagus. Remember this was in not a showcase, but we saw trailers for it not too long ago, and it piqued my interest because it's a JRPG, apparently. However, I mean, it is like you are doing JRPG kind of things, and the presentation is kind of like a JRPG, but it's very rudimentary in the stuff that you're doing, and it just almost from the point where you're just going through the tutorial, it just didn't feel right to me. From like UI counts for a lot, particularly in VR, because you're looking at it a lot, you're pointing at stuff, and they were just, the menus were just janky. The text didn't really fit the art style either. The text was quite modern looking, and the art style looks very sort of painterly and, like anime style. So there's a few little disconnects like that just were quite jarring to start with. And I think, the actual, I haven't got far into it, so I'm not going to like sit here and slate it entirely, but my first impression of it was, when you play a game in VR and you're a bit like, I could be playing a really good game in much more comfort than this. Do you know what I mean? And it did feel like, I got Persona 4 on the Switch a while ago and haven't played it yet. I could be playing a classic JRPG rather than this basic. It's always fun to like throw stuff around and point and shoot and stuff in VR, but it was a bit like, it's just a very, very compromised version of what I like about JRPGs. So not something I'd be running to recommend. But I think if you've got more patience than me and you really do like that genre and VR, then you might get some enjoyment out of it. But yeah, not a great first impression, to be honest.
That's a shame. Because you did quite like the look of that one. So that's a shame that it's not really hit you. Yeah,
it just all feels very compromised and a bit cheap and cheerful, and just a lot like a JRPG is very cheesy in the voice acting department at the best of times, and the fact that they had implemented English voice into the previous versions of it, I don't believe had. So there's a few nice little upgrades for PSVR2 version. But yeah, it just all felt a little bit shallow. Obviously, that might develop over time, as you'd imagine, when you pick up new abilities and things like that. But yeah, from the reviews I've read, it also, it's solid, if not spectacular. And then it gets a bit grindy and a bit repetitive towards the end game. So I can't imagine sticking at it for very long, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe you hit upon a topic there we can talk about in a future week, is kind of what we feel doesn't work, what we don't like in what genres we think don't translate to VR. Because it's an interesting one. Like, what you've explained now, it's like, why would you want to play a game like this? If VR isn't adding anything to the experience, then why not just take the headset off and just chill out and be more comfortable? Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, okay. Right, well, that's one from you. Alex, do you want to have a turn?
Oh, speaking of like implementation where VR doesn't really add much to a game. So I have played and finished Behind the Frame VR. And
I should also add, I've also played this a little bit as well, so I can add some thoughts on this.
So Behind the Frame VR is essentially a narrative game to kind of explain the story of this young painter who's trying to get into like art school type thing, and she's kind of, you've got the mystery of an old man that lives across the window who is also an artist, and you're finding out the story through the paintings that he's done in the past, and you're finding the story behind the picture and kind of progressing it from there. And this was a game that was a 2D game, and you progress that story through puzzles and like puzzles. So like the puzzle elements and stuff are pretty good. Where this just falls for me is any of the cutscenes are in 2D screen, no sort of 3D implementation, no VR implementation, so the immersion breaks like that. And I'm like, it's not what I want at all. Like, which is a real shame, because I think at the heart, and I think in the 2D version, and the original version of this game is quite well received. I think it's got decent reviews. It tells a really nice story, but it's really let itself down with implementation in the VR, because the bits that are in VR are fine. Controls are a bit fiddly and a bit frustrating. Some of the bits in terms of picking up your art book and stuff get in the way of what you're trying to do, and I think it doesn't do a very good job of telling you what you need to do.
That was my experience of it, is that the control element of it almost sort of made me feel a bit nauseous, because I was fighting against where it wanted me to try and go and trying to pick things up. They were just kind of glitching out of my hand, and I just was like, what do you want me to do here? I just got fed up, and after about half hour trying to play it, I got a little bit of the way through, but it was just making me feel very uncomfortable, so I had to stop playing it.
I think once you get over that initial bit and you kind of work out, all right, this is what I need to do. I don't know if there's maybe a couple of little bugs in there, because like one of the first things you need to do is like turn the music on, and I put the tape in and pressed play and it didn't play, but you had to open it as if, so because I just skipped and put it straight in without opening the cassette, put it in and then press play, the music didn't play, so it didn't move on. But you need to do it in the right order, like open the cassette bit that pops out, put the cassette in, put it back in, and then hit play and the music starts. So it's little things like, well, if you want me to do that, don't let me put the cassette in without opening it, and things like that. So once you kind of work out what it wants you to do, it's actually not too bad. But yeah, controls are fiddly, but it's quite nice in terms of you need to paint these pictures and add little bits. So obviously you're using a paintbrush. It's quite it's not it's not really any sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not precise. It's not precise painting or anything. You're literally like filling in these squares with colours and stuff in these areas, and that's how you're solving the puzzles essentially. And there's some other puzzles in that in there. And the story itself is good. I really enjoyed the story. It's almost like, in terms of the kind of narrative thing, that if they'd have got it right, you could almost, it's not get the innovation of Before Your Eyes, but it kind of the kind of story it told and the way it kind of unfolded, it probably would have been better if they'd have done it better. And it is a shame. And I think probably this is a game where, if you like the idea of the story and the puzzles, you're probably better playing the 2D version than the 3D version. Because even if they'd have made a little bit more effort, like, see if they'd have kind of almost created a theatre type scene or something, or like the video played in a canvas, it was in like a 3D, like it was almost like on an easel or something. They presented it a bit better if they still wanted to use the cutscenes as a like in 2D rather than it was literally like you flipped, see like Gran Turismo flips between the 2D and 3D when you get in the car. It's the other way. So like you're in there and you're doing the puzzles and then suddenly the cutscene hits and it flips back and you've got like the blacks around and just the screen showing you this little cutscene.
It's funny how we give Gran Turismo a pass for that though, isn't it? We never really knocked it down for having that about it. But I guess it's because we were expecting it more in that, whereas
because it's just a menu really.
Yeah.
I think that's where it gets away with it, because Gran Turismo is just a menu. It's not like it's all the gameplay itself is in VR. It's a fair point though. Yeah, so that's a shame. I did enjoy it, just not as much as I could have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I did enjoy it. Okay. And have you played anything else, Alex?
I have played a couple of other things. So I played a little bit of B99, and I know you've played that as well. Ben, I think, Laurie,
you played that?
I played a wee bit.
Yeah, I played that. Yeah, played it for an hour.
Very long tutorial. Like, how long is this tutorial going to keep going on before I actually get into the game? Which is fair, because it's trying to teach you everything you need to know before you go. But I find it, I don't know, too long, and it also made me feel quite sick. I don't know if you guys had any nausea with this one, but this is one that I've not felt sick with many games, but this one did.
I did not. No, this one was fine.
No, I didn't. But that tutorial, that is not the way to teach people how to play your game. That's what I was getting frustrated through it. Like, I'm not going to remember half of this.
Yeah, it was a lot to take in, wasn't it?
You need to drip feed this throughout the first couple of levels rather than that weird voice going, and now this is how you pick up an item. And it's just...
There was a lot of stuff to sort of go through, and then by the time you got to the last room, it's like, here's a room with loads of stuff in it. Like, I'm not fucking remembering all this. Going around, and they said you can read all the descriptions like you're in a bloody museum for all this stuff. I was like, just let me play the game and I'll work it out as I'm going along. And then I thought,
you got to get to the good stuff quickly, particularly in VR, because I mean, I just don't have the patience to stick with this. And I love the look of it. I think the aesthetic is spot on. But it was very off-putting, just having to go from room to room, learning one thing at a time, knowing full well that half of this is going to stick and the other half is just going to disappear out of my brain.
A lot of it was quite self-explanatory. Like, okay, these are items you pick up, you shoot them and you pick them up. Okay, I probably could have worked that better. But even when ironically, when I then did get into a game, despite having done that very long tutorial, I didn't really know what to do. I just had loads of tutorial, and I still it was still confusing. Is that a pickup or is that an enemy? Because they don't just make them different colours for Christ's sake. Just make all pickups gold or something, just so I can easily see what's good and what's bad, and where am I supposed to be going. It's a bit of I get the maze is part of it, but it was just very navigating your way around was hard. But I did like just the speed of running around the levels and shooting at stuff. I thought the aesthetic of the design, the music was really cool. So when you're just in the flow of just running around shooting at stuff and taking out the enemies, I thought it was very good. But I didn't really get what I was supposed to be doing in terms of where, it's just all a bit kind of seemed a bit hollow. If that makes sense.
I also didn't really get, am I actually in the game yet? I couldn't work out at which point I was actually like, is this the proper game now, or am I still in a tutorial? Is this still trying to teach me what's going on? Like, and I think once I was in the proper game, it's quite enjoyable. The whole going around and clearing the rooms and kind of trying to work out the different levels and stuff. It is quite fun. As you say, the music's good, it looks really good. So I think if this is your type of game and you can get over that, I think there's something there to enjoy, but I think it just takes too long to get there.
I have to give a shout out for what must be my favourite story in video games, which really, really made me laugh. In that AI has taken over the world, enslaved all humanity because it just wants to become like a godlike type thing. It's invented the game that it plays itself. It just plays its own computer games that it invents for itself. Aliens invade the world. The AI can't be bothered to do anything about these aliens, so it says to the humans, well, I'll only sort them out if you can beat my game that I've created. So it makes you play the game, and if you do die in the game, you die in real life. It's just like, this is mad, this storyline. Love it. Love it.
Video games, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite like it. I think if I could spend more time to it just to get my head around it and click. But yeah, when you're in the flow of it, I think it's great. I think the design, the music, the speed of it, I really like that. The kind of speed which you can play through the levels and you're spinning around, taking out targets that are all around you. I really like that. But I agree with everything you guys have said as well. The tutorial and the onboarding is not good. And yeah, that would be better if there was a bit more of a kind of a guiding hand through the levels, just trying to teach me what I was doing and how far I was through it, because I was a bit like, well, what do I do next? Where do I go? Because it all looks visually, it's very cool, but it's very hard to sort of distinguish where I'm supposed to be going next, or like if I just accidentally turn myself around and go back the way I came from. So it's just have like doors that are different colour that show this is the way you should be going next, and have enemies that are different colours from other stuff, so it all stands out a bit more. But still, decent fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go next. I have played and finished A Fisherman's Tale now, and it is a sort of game you can play the whole thing in like an hour or two. It's a very, very short game. I would encourage anyone, if you're interested in this game or in Fisherman's Tale, just buy them both and just treat them as if they are one game, because this is almost like the prologue for another Fisherman's Tale. It takes like an hour or a couple of hours at the most, and then you can get into another Fisherman's Tale, which builds on this in kind of so much in terms of the kind of the story and the gameplay mechanics, complexity, and the environments. This is a much, much smaller, small scale game. I would recommend this one in particular to Lewis, because I know he likes things. If you like superliminal stuff like that, where you're playing around with perspective, big things, small things, where you're in those little liminal spaces where you're in a lighthouse, and inside the lighthouse you can look down and you can see a model of the lighthouse that you're in, and also you can look outside the window and you can see you are in a giant lighthouse. So it's kind of a constant cascading, getting bigger and bigger and getting smaller and smaller, and you're in the middle of all these lighthouses. So you can take something that's in the room you're in and drop it into the model lighthouse, and then a giant one of it will appear in, because your actions are repeated. So it's a bit like that what's that PS Plus game that came out which does that sort of same effect?
Maquette. Was it Maquette?
Yeah, Maquette. Yeah. Well done. So yeah, it's got that. So you're solving puzzles there by just making things bigger or smaller to interact, and you can go into the small size world, and then you're like a tiny little thing with all this kind of giant world. And yeah, but it's also, again, like another Fisherman's Tale, it's telling that really nice story. This one's about a man trying to sort of live up to his father. So yeah, it had that emotional. It doesn't have quite the same impact as another Fisherman's Tale, just because it doesn't have that same long length to develop the story. But it does tell a really nice, sort of sweet, powerful tale, and it does set up the story that it does then tell in another Fisherman's Tale, and adds an extra kind of layer of sort of bittersweetness to that story as well. So yeah, as you know, I really like both these games.
And you can get both of them. The bundle is £28.99, so that seems pretty reasonable for two games that Laurie, anyway, highly recommends.
Yeah, you say that as if...
Yeah. I know Alex didn't get on with another Fisherman's Tale.
I think that was me though, and I think I've actually worked out why I didn't get on with it. So I need to go back and try it again, because too many people are telling me how good it is, and I feel like, no, I've just missed something here. And I think I forgot some of the things I could do, and where I got frustrated with it. I think I forgot I could take my head off, basically, to change the perspective at the bit I got stuck at. So yeah, I need to go back to it. Yeah. Because I'm like, how do I get up here to be able to see in the bit that I can't get through? And I'm like, clearly there was somewhere I could put my head when I was thinking about it about 6 weeks later. So yeah. Yeah,
it is the sort of game that I would encourage, if you do get stuck on stuff, just open up your phone, just whip off the headset, open up your phone and just look at a YouTube because you're like, oh, okay. There's no real kind of walkthroughs anyone's written online for these games because they're a bit too niche, but there's loads of YouTube videos of people solving it. Or you can just ask me. But yeah, you can just quick YouTube video. If you get frustrated and you can't be bothered waiting to solve something yourself, you can just move on to the next bit. I wouldn't want anyone to sort of play and think, oh, I just can't get this, and just walk away from it out in frustration because, you know what, no one cares. Just look up on YouTube. It's fine. No one cares. Cool. Well, I'm just looking at the time. If we're going to get on to our topic, we better crack on, gents.
Two very, very quick things.
Two quick things. Not just one quick thing, man. It was two quick things.
Ask for two.
Yeah.
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
Better be quick.
Very quickly, I finally played through a round of Alfheim on Walkabout Mini Golf, and oh my god, it's the most beautiful course they've ever done. Like, it's not in terms of innovative and like features wise, it's just another course. It's not, I wouldn't say like the holes in that are that remarkable. They're good. It's up to par. But
Nicely done.
but it looks gorgeous. Like you just go and play it. Just it is definitely the most beautiful one they've ever done. It works really well. And I jumped in a little bit and tried the update for C-Smash VRS, and that's very good.
Yes.
The game it probably should have been when it came out, and I know that's probably quite hard to say, quite harsh to say, but there's a lot more content in there now. It feels good. The Infinity mode feels good. Like the emojis and stuff are quite cool. The iRobot to play against quite cool. Yeah, definitely.
Replays, that's a new thing as well, isn't it?
Replays are quite cool, yeah.
So your last shot, you get a replay of it, and you can save it just by pressing the cross button, which is really nice.
Cool.
Like, because it looks quite cool.
Yeah, definitely worth jumping back into.
Yeah, I completely agree. It makes
it's getting a lot of hype, isn't it, this game as well? It feels like it's building, like, fair play to them, for they are supporting it and growing it, and it feels like there's a lot of, every time they add something to it, it seems like there's more and more people that are picking it up for the first time, so good on them.
And also, just really quickly, final point on that, this is how you do a UI in a VR game. Like, the menus and everything, it's so slick that it's just, comparing that to playing Ruinsmagus, it was like night and day. So, yeah, big
friend of the show, Ryan. He's been making VR games for a while now. He knows what he's doing.
Great work.
Yeah, Ryan Boosfield there. Wolfenwood. Cool. Right, well, we'll have a proper, because I feel like we owe C-Smash. I think it's worth having a proper delve into all those new features. So maybe we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. Maybe we could do our first re-review of a game. Oh, he likes that. Ben does all. Yeah, let's try to do that. You can tell me about the music in that one as well, Ben. Well, I did like your video you shared on Twitter, Ben, of you just sort of giving up actually playing the game and just using it to sort of dance to the music, and your moves were quite impressive there.
I made myself laugh.
That's nice. Good. Well, if everyone would like to support us, please do give this podcast a sub on the service you're using, and do leave us a review too. Follow us on Twitter at CrossButtonVR and at the Crossplayers. And if you really want to show the love, you can do so via patreon.com/thecrossplayers, and for £2 a month you can help us produce the show and gain entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group. And special thanks goes this week to Games with T, who did just that. He signed up to our Patreon. So if you want to join Games with T and Phil 1 and Phil 2 and all the other patrons that we've got, please do jump over to patreon.com/thecrossplayers and you can join in the fun. Cool. Right, topic then this week. We were expecting some Astro bot news. Alex, I know you were very hyped for the idea of some Astro when the State of Play was announced. They did say it's going to be focused on third parties, and that's
they did show first party stuff, just not Astro Bot.
Yeah, it was focusing on third parties. I thought that was kind of always a big ask. But I thought it would be fun just to go through and try and work out what studios, of all the studios they've got, and I'll read them all out in a second, which ones might actually be making some VR games, and then what those might be. So right now, the PlayStation studios listed on their website are Team Asobi, Bend Studio, Bluepoint, Firesprite, Firewalk, it's confusing, Guerrilla, Haven, Housemarque, Insomniac, London Studio, Media Molecule, Naughty Dog, Nixes, Polyphony, San Diego, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, Valkyrie, and XDiv. So that's all the ones listed on their website. There's a lot now, aren't there? There's a lot. So going through them, then I think we can discount a lot of them. Yes, because we know that it's kind of things like Bend Studio are going to be making. We know they're making another game that's not Days Gone 2, but it's something like that. And Guerrilla, we know they're going to be making Horizon stuff forever now. But the ones that I think we can assume are making something, Team Asobi, Astrobot.
It's got to be.
Seems like a dead set. I predict that they will do Astrobot Rescue Mission 2, and I think it will be a VR/non-VR game. I think it will be just playable in both. And maybe there'll be some exclusive VR levels that really take some of the gameplay of the first Astrobot. But I feel like now there's so much love for that game on Astro's Rescue Mission. The one that's built into every PS5. If you haven't played it yet, you really should do. Yeah, I feel like they can't. There needs to be non-VR as well now.
Yeah, the IP's outgrown VR. Like it most definitely has. Like the Astrobot
he's like their
has
mascot he's like their mascot platformer now. Yeah, he is too good. But
I can see them doing something clever with it. Where is this possible? To have one person watching it on TV using a controller and the other person with a VR headset on doing something entirely different. I can see them trying to do some clever stuff like that.
That would be cool.
Doing like a multiplayer, but a local multiplayer Astrobot.
I mean, whatever they do, the first Astro game on PS5 was an absolute showcase for the DualSense controller. I feel like this next game will be an absolute showcase for the PSVR2 headset, whatever it does. So I think even if it works on non-VR as well, they will do some extra enhancements to it. It will be a bit like Tearaway, which you could play that on the Vita and it really sang. And they did a PS4 version of it as well, but all of the best elements of it was the game was made around the Vita, so it did work on the PS4.
Game.
But yeah, if you had the Vita and you could play it on that, it just elevates it
Tap in
so
the back
much.
to like break through the bits of paper and everything and blown into it and all the different
Magic,
so
pure magic,
so
pure magic. So yeah, so Team Asobi, I think dead set, they're making an Astrobot and surely it'll be VR. If they release an Astrobot that's not VR, I think Alex will just set fire to his headset.
They will eventually port Rescue Mission. There's no way that game's not come to VR2. There's no way.
Yeah, that would be mad, wouldn't it, to not do a port of that. Yeah, maybe when they announce whatever it is, they'll say it, and the first one's coming. So yes, I hope so. So obviously for all of us, we get a chance to play that, and then we can hopefully play the second one. So that's Asobi. Okay, cool. I think the next up we've got the most likely contender is Firesprite, who developed Call of the Mountain. So my guess for them, they are now Sony's biggest, I think they're their biggest first party studio in terms of headcount, certainly in the UK. Their job listings on their website apparently mention a dark story driven horror game and also a multiplayer action game built in Unreal Engine 5. So are either of those VR is the question. So we know they're making a couple of games. Are either of those VR? Yeah, I thought the dark story horror game, because they've done a spin-off of Horizon in Call of the Mountain. Maybe a Last of Us VR spin-off, a dark story driven horror game, wouldn't be impossible.
No, I mean,
no, as in no, they're not doing that, or no, it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible. I mean, they could be working on anything. The way they did get the Horizon IP is like whether they trust them with the rest of the IPs to go and do it. Because there's still a little bit in the back of my head, and we've talked about this before, that when they did the whole Last of Us Part 1 remake, why you wouldn't have one eye on trying to get some sort of VR into that as you were remaking it. Surely that adds a lot of benefit to what you're doing there if you're remaking it anyway. So maybe it's that there is something in there. Maybe it could be The Last of Us. That seems like the one. If they could get The Last of Us in VR, just think how much that would push them.
Well, that's it. It's they know it's their flagship IP now. Of everything else, it's The Last of Us is the thing which moves. And if they did a Last of Us VR game and it was good, that would sell serious headsets. There would be people that would be like, okay, now I need to get one. So if they've got any sense, and Firesprite, they know. Say what you like about Call of the Mountain, it is a polished game. It looks fantastic and it is a great showcase for it. So yeah, if they can do a dark story driven horror game that turns out to be Last of Us VR. Now I don't want to get too excited because I am just making that up, but that would be awesome. And I think of all the studios they've got, I feel that's quite kind of one of those two games is probably another VR game, because obviously they've got, of all of their first party teams, they are probably the most technically accomplished in making VR stuff, so it would just be madness to not set them to making another game.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, I think Media Molecule could have a VR project in the works.
Ooh,
so
I think you've skipped one.
Well,
we'll come back to it.
Come back to it.
Okay.
I'm not going in any order here. So
Okay. I thought you were doing it alphabetically.
No, I'm not.
As you were.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll keep going through my list and then you can tell me if you think I've skipped any. So Media Molecule, obviously we've got Dreams has come out and they're kind of winding up support for that. I think Dreams, you could build a VR game in Dreams. I'm sure there was a point where Dreams was going to be ported to VR. I'm sure that was, maybe I'm making that up.
It was compatible with VR1.
Okay,
Yeah.
It was, okay. It's just not a PSVR2 port. So I don't think they'll port Dreams to PSVR2, but they should. But having a game that was built in Dreams playable on PSVR2 in the same way they've done that train game recently, or you could build a game, VR game, with the expertise they've got. And again, we talked about Tearaway, they are a very good playful studio, and Tearaway, that kind of playful aesthetic works so well in VR. That would be so good. I would just love to see the people that made Tearaway make a VR game.
I mean, could you see them going back to the Sackboy roots? Like back to the Little Big Planet roots and doing something. Sumo Digital just made the last Sackboy game, didn't they? But I mean, there's nothing to say. Media Molecule gave birth to him, so I mean, they could take him back and do something with him again. I mean, that feels like another game that would be good in VR.
I mean, Sackboy again is a very good kind of mascot for them, but I feel like Media Molecule, they're too
Bigger
good
than
to make Sackboy games now. No offense to Sumo, they made a great job with Sackboy's Big Adventure. But Media Molecule, when you see like some of the stuff they come up with and their imagination and the worlds that they can conjure up, they've got some really good imaginative ideas there. So yeah, I'd like to see them just unleash something in VR. It would be a shame because I think they'd create something really special. I think it would be a good kind of tentpole thing for the medium. I think it would be a standout thing they could do. So Media Molecule, I think, could and should be making something. I think London Studio, obviously they made Blood and Truth, so could the follow-up to that be in the works, or maybe just a port of that even? I'd settle for that at this point. But apparently they are making an online co-op game set in a kind of fantasy version of London, so it's got London with like dragons and crazy stuff in it. Again, online co-op combat game, which just instantly just puts me off. Just online co-op combat game, just oh god, I don't think that's going to be a VR, that game.
Doesn't feel like it.
No, I think they've said it's not a VR game. So I think it's just another one of Sony's live service games that people will probably hate. I worry that so many of the studios are making these live service games because obviously they're not all going to find an audience. So it's just. But are they big enough, London Studio, to have another team making a follow-up to Blood and Truth? Or if not, could we just get a port from them?
Or we could get SingStar VR.
We could.
I mean, imagine that you were just like you've got the World Cup and you were like in a stadium and you were performing to the stadium and stuff, and like, how cool would that be? Yeah, give me SingStar VR. Yeah, that'd be fun.
And then my last prediction, and this is a bit of a wild card, would be Housemarque, because I think they could make a fucking awesome arcade shooter in VR.
That was the one I was.
Returnal in VR.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to say.
I wouldn't want Returnal in VR, but I would think like. What was the game, that launch game they did for PS4?
Resogun.
Resogun or something like that. That sort of style of game, or Super Stardust Ultra. Yeah. Again, another classic Vita game. God, such a good game. Super Stardust Ultra on like that in VR would just be, because you could have like explosions going off and all the light shows crazy. Like Super Stardust VR. Just please, Housemarque, if you're listening, just please make that happen. Now I've said that. But if not, just some sort of arcade shooter. I mean, Returnal, that would just be kind of too much, mind-blowing.
But I think like we always say, like draw the similarity between arcade and VR experiences, and I think Housemarque do sort of walk that line as well. All their games are very arcadey. Even Returnal, with all of its layers of atmosphere and stress, the actual core gameplay is really arcadey. So I think they could create something, taking what they've learned from Returnal and layering on the atmosphere and the eerie music and everything else, but also all the particle effects and all the flashy stuff that they do in all their other games. Yeah. I really think they could make an incredible VR game, and they have said their next game is a different game as well. They're not doing a Returnal follow-up. They're doing a brand new IP all over again, so could well be. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we play so many, like B99. Okay, that was made by one person. One guy made that game. So you're telling me that all these big internal studios, they can't set up a small team to develop something that uses their IP and just draws on their resources? And I'm not saying only going to be one person at these studios making it, but surely, like, I'm sure Housemarque are probably working on a follow-up to Returnal or something else like that, or something kind of big budget like that. It's going to be, they've, at the end of the day, PSVR2 is a niche compared to the rest of the platform. They need their first-party studios to be making games for PS5, but at the same time, they've got so much expertise in these studios. They need to be using some of that to make the VR games as well.
That is the concern, isn't it? It's like, obviously the return on investment needs to be there, and with such a small player base on PSVR2, they're not going to want to take that risk as freely. But then Sony do have this propensity to just throw money at, like a media molecule. Yeah, go and make dreams. It's not going to make us any money, but go and
20 years. Whatever you need.
just have a laugh. Even like some of the gadgets, you could even put PSVR2 in that bracket. But the Portal that's coming out, stuff that's pretty niche. So they've got potential to just go, just go and do something creative, and if it makes money, great. If not, well, we support you. So yeah, fingers crossed. Certainly, like, out of all of them, if they could throw some money at Housemarque to do a VR game, I'd be over the bloody moon.
Yeah, and I was just sorry, Laurie. I was just going to say to that point, the VR2 is probably the one that, if you could get the games out there, has the potential to grow. Because if you can get these exclusive experiences on a headset and on a VR2 headset, with the number of people that have a PS5, they want to play those games. And I mean, getting those games there is the one, and you've got those other niche things that you talk about that won't really make that much money. But if they get VR right and they get the right people working on the right games, then there's a huge market there that they could actually exploit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I guess because so far first party, we've got obviously Polyphony done their port of GT7, which is fantastic, and then Firesprite have done their Call of the Mountain. So that's it so far. So I cannot believe that they would go to the trouble of making this headset and just make 2 first-party games for it.
No, it's got to be.
Astrobot is kind of a given, but considering the first headset got a lot of decent support, I mean, I've just listed 5 different studios there: Firesprite, SOB, Media Molecule, London, and Housemarque. So it's only 5 studios out of the 19 odd that they've got, or 18, depending if you want to include some of the port houses and stuff. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it's asking a huge amount there. I don't think we get more than that. I don't think we're going to get more than 4 or 5 games over the whole thing. But I mean, the first year it's got a couple of games. If they can just put out like one, I'm not expecting more than kind of one first party game a year, to be honest. Which maybe I should be expecting more for that. I should be demanding more maybe. But it's just realistically, I don't think they've got that many studios, and I think they need to focus on making just normal PS5 games as well. So we'll see. But I think if we do get any games, that would be my guess. And out of all of those, the dark story-driven horror, just please be a Last of Us VR game, because that just makes that I want to play that game. It would sell so many headsets. That would be the kind of Half-Life Alyx of the system, I think. Yeah. Especially if they could get the Last of Us to write a compelling story for it as well.
Like the Left Behind from the first one. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Left Behind?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, because there wasn't any DLC for part 2. Also,
No,
just said they threw everything into that game. So yeah, it could be a good companion story in the same way that Left Behind is. Yeah. Any final thoughts on that topic, Gents?
I think to end on a positive, look, we're getting towards the back end of the first year of PSVR2. If we, I think it's safe to assume there'll be at least 1 or 2 first-party releases next year. I don't think that's crazy. So, yeah, it's just exciting, isn't it, to think what they might actually be. Even if it's Astrobot plus one other, that's exciting.
And they've not revealed that VR2 mode for Spider-Man 2 yet. I mean, we've still got that reveal to come, so...
Oh, my God.
Maybe.
Oh, on that little wingsuit.
Vomiting all over Manhattan.
Yeah. But I think I'd never rule out a VR game from Insomniac, because Insomniac are just the ones that pump out games. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, state of play still. Once again, we've had a state of play without really any first-party big reveals. We don't really know what all those other shooters are just listed. We still don't really know what most of them are making. We can assume they're making follow-ups to their previous games on PS4, but we don't know that. Yeah, they may be making other stuff. They might be big enough now that they're making a couple of games. So we still wait and see. So it's not just PSVR2 we are having to do features like this where we try and guess what's being made. It's the normal PS5 as well. So
They have time to say one more thing. They have
yeah,
time
go
already.
on then, Alex.
Yeah,
well,
so
well
like,
it's Ben you need to look at. He's the one that's probably counting down. We've gone past
but it's
the hour
like
now, but go on, go on.
we have what you think of Ragnarok, right? And you've got
I do.
You've got Kratos there with his axe, and he's got his reigns of chaos and whatever. And then you've got Atreus with his bow.
the drunk. I thought you meant
No.
First.
I mean God of War, right? So I mean, surely someone can go make a little game of that, just kind of doing a bit, throwing that axe and using those blades of chaos and getting some bow and arrow with Atreus. Like it's just Atreus, whatever you want to call him. Atrium, yeah. I mean that just feels like it's there on a plate.
Yeah. I mean, all of their games, they've got such good, strong. I mean, that's the power of PlayStation right now is their first party IP, and to just have. I don't want big, epic 20-30 hour games. Just give me like Call of the Mountain. Just give me a 4 or 5 hour experience in this universe. Just let me see these IP and these worlds from that perspective. Because playing Call of the Mountain, the best thing about that game is that you are in Horizon. You can look around, and the scale of the world is so different, and it's awesome. Yeah, that alone is kind of worth checking out that game, if you ask me. And GT7 as well. Just you're in those cars for real. It's amazing. So if you could do that with God of War, with The Last of Us, with their other games, there's so much like Ratchet and Clank could get that as well. That sort of treatment. There's just I can have a lot of fun with all those things. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what
imagine
they can
the
come up
haptics of catching that axe. You can feel it. Do it. Let me feel it for real.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that can. I think that should bring us to a close, then, gentlemen. Thank you, gents, and thank you to our listeners and our viewers for watching and listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could please tell your friends and family all about us. And if you'd like to get more involved with the rest of our shenanigans, please do not hesitate to drop into our Discord and say hello. And thank you to everyone who's done so already. Last, absolutely not least, thank you to all our patrons for supporting the work we do. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Ben and Alex, and we will see you again next time. Until then. It's goodbye.